Hello, this is Jenifer Taylor from Mountain Mowbray in the county of Leicestershire in my art room today, which is looking a little bit chaotic because that's what art rooms should look like, I reckon. I'm so excited for my next guest tonight, and it's an honour. And I was hoping to catch up with her just before Christmas, but due to personal things in my personal life, it never really happened. But I feel like we've shared a journey together. Like, as you know, I'm really about debunking the new age and like what is about the truth. And the last few weeks, I've just kept hearing this voice to connect with you and ask you questions because there's so much conflicting news out there. There's so much, not news, conflicting information, and it kind of like lose our way. And then when I said that to you, what I wanted to talk to you about, in one sentence, you're like, I just calmed right down, and I thought, oh, that's why I needed to speak to you. So can I hand it over to you, and please can you introduce yourself and where you are and all about you, please?
Hello, lovely to be on the show. Thank you for asking me on here today. It's lovely to connect with you. Love your work. And my name is Elona Woods, and I am an author, homeopath. I read tarot, I do astrology. I'll be speaking at a conference that's coming up soon, something that's just been given to me, which I'm really excited about. I do lots of different things. I've been in this field for 20 years nearly, but on the outside, on the sidelines, learning and just growing within myself so that I could do a bit more. I also run a podcast called The Arcane Mystic. So overlaps with our work, which is really great because it's lovely to speak to others that are in the same field. So thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. So, as I said at the very start, I like, I think it would have been when I was 30, maybe 33. And I really like was like searching, and at that time I thought my career wasn't going anywhere, and I really wanted to be like a therapist, like hands-on, like a beauty therapist. And then my nana was dying in Australia, and through old age. So I went back over, and that's where I discovered Reiki. And Reiki kind of like opened a whole world to me, like the new age world. And then I went down that path. And then I think it would have been about 2018, 2019. I started to like through Maria Wheatley, which is our other connection, because I trained with her to do past life regression, and you're a good friend of her. She said to me, "Oh, um, she was saying about how dangerous the new age was because I had like a pendulum, and it was a pendulum that was an Isis pendulum." And she said, you know, you can go into these new age shops and see these pendulums and crystals, but you just don't know how powerful they are, and they can cause a lot of damage. And she explained how it should come in two parts and be separated. And that was my first awakening, was Marie Wheatley. And that's how I got into Thomas Sheridan, because like I started like listening to her, and she's really good friends with him, and like they do a lot of method the old stones, should I say, because I can't pronounce that word. And that's what was my real big opening moment. It was like, hang on a minute. So this new age is not so sweet and innocent, and it's quite dangerous. And so since then, especially in 2020, and the Reiki scene and the love and light and the mindfulness and meditation. No, not so much meditation. I do believe in that still. But you know what I mean? Like, it's very dangerous. Like how they say, like, you're here to heal somebody else. You're here because you chose that person. So if you're in an abusive relationship, it's almost like saying you need to stay with them because you're teaching them something, and that's wrong. And that's where I am now. Like I'm really like I've been on a bit of a journey where I dismissed it and questioned everything, and then I'm now finding my roots, which I'm in the process of doing. But we share similar paths, don't we? Can you share your journey, please?
My journey started when my dad died, and the thought of never speaking to him again blew me open. And when he died, I'll never forget on the TV there was Jurassic Park, the TV show, and I had Virgin Media then. And when you turned it over, it had the name underneath, so it would be the movie and like maybe a small subtitle, but Jurassic Park was on and it said The Lost World. So then I turned over the channel and something else came on, but The Lost World kept coming up and it wouldn't change to the new subtitle. Something then awakened within me, and I just thought it stayed with me within my mind and within my heart. And then weird things started happening in my home. It was like he was trying to communicate with me. Never stuff that I'd ever done before, never experienced anything like this before in my life. Started having dreams about things that had happened to him, and it was all coming out into fruition. So it was almost like his death was the catalyst. But when you've been raised in a family that's like Christian, and we were also Rastafari, and then my mum tried to get us to do Protestant churches and then also Islam, where do you go when you've never been reconnected with your ancestral roots? So I went down loads of different rabbit holes, so many different ones. I did the Reiki thing. That did not feel right for me. You know, giving people healings. I don't know why, but I did it a few times and then it just didn't feel right. Something just felt so wrong about it. And I decided that that was not the way for me. And I haven't done anything with that in 15 years, never touched it again. Tried to do the women's circles and some of them were really, really good, but you need to have facilitators that you're on the same frequency with. And then I tried to do the plant medicine circles and they didn't work either. The reason why is because some of the plants that I was trying to use, they weren't of my ancestral background, and that can be really, really dangerous for those that are trying to get in alignment with stuff. Some people I feel have really great journeys. Maybe they've got some kind of ancestral throwback genetic there, or they don't abuse it and they don't go too heavy with it. But for me, again, it's something that I would really watch. I tried so many different new age pathways. I did the magic. I remember doing magic once and having an absolute nightmare because I used Enochian magic and I don't have any ancestry there. And that blew up. For me, it was all about really you play around and you find out. Okay. And that for me is a rite of passage, but it's also really dangerous. You're absolutely right. And it is about being careful with that. But all of the paths, the wrong ones, lead you back to yourself. And it's trusting that you're on the right journey.
I agree because when I again around about the time of 2019 with Maria, um, I really started to, I don't know how it all came about, but I started to really connect to like it was Northern Europe, shamanism. So I've read a few books and that led me to buying my drum and then 2020 happened and then it was all like shelved, but it's almost like I've come back full circle back to that. But through talking to like Tina and Fiona, it's like they talk about connecting to our ancestors, like we're all like not all of us, not everyone who's listening to would agree with me, but me personally, it's like Northern Europe. And when I started to kind of like research into it, there's something that happens with inside of me that I can be lost in time and I know then I'm in the right path because I'm just in that moment. Whereas when I've done Kundalini yoga or tried to do like sitting in, in a lotus position, meditating, never ever, never, my mind wandered all the while. And you're right, it's like finding our roots and our paths, isn't it? And our ancestor links. So that's something very strong with you, isn't it? That
Yeah,
you found.
yeah, I love my ancestors. And mine are from all different parts of the world. So I've got some from Northern Europe, I've got some from Africa, I'm Amerindian as well, just because of all the movement. We've also got some that are in Asia. There's a lot going on. And just to go back to a point of something that you said before I forget, and it goes out of my peripheral view, the whole connection with somebody and overgiving. You have to be with that person. You've got to save them. This is coming up a lot in my work at the moment of people with the twin flame thing saying to me, that somebody told me that that was my twin flame and these are all the synchronicities that are going on and I can't walk away because I've been told that it's going to be really difficult and that if I want it to work in this lifetime that I have to be with them and their ancestors told them all sorts of different things and really the ancestral connection is something solid that comes from within, and you'll never be told what to do. You're your own inner GPRS system, and you'll find your way with things. And if you feel that something's holding you up on your journey, my advice would be to just step back, realign, just regroup for a minute and come back to the center and then make decisions with that. But working with the ancestors, if you are lost or you need some kind of inspiration, or, you know, I have my altar at home that I work with, and I sit there with my ancestors. I burn some incense, I leave offerings out every 10 days, and I work within a certain calendar. But that really helps me to really know where I'm going with things and just find my way, because Tina, when I interviewed her, she did say something poignant, and I'd written it in my book as well. And that is, we don't need to copy word for word what they were doing, seek what they were seeking.
Yes, I've heard that from
Yeah.
Bjorn as well. Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. So, I want to ask, what's your thoughts on DNA?
It's like a blueprint. It's like data. That's what I feel that with this, and we can unlock codes. There's codes that there's gatekeepers. There's so much that we can do with our DNA, that we've not been taught how to do. I talk to my DNA and do all sorts of different work with that, when needed.
Do you think our DNA resides like, I always thought like our DNA was in our spinal cord, but do you think our DNA is in the fluid of our body?
I feel more fluid.
Yes.
Yeah, there's so much with water that people don't connect with. And the more I'm connecting with water, because I talk to water in the shower, I talk to water before I drink it, before I water my flowers. In most ancient cultures, ancestral cultures, water was venerated. African cultures is one, and within European cultures as well. Water is very sacred, and especially for women. Thomas spoke about this. When women go in the shower or they have a bath, you can receive almost inspiration. So I feel that it's more linked with water.
Mm. How do you connect to the water, may I ask, please?
Feel it, it's sentient. When you feel the energy of water and you really do your connection work with that, you can feel the energy. And I always say sorry because it's trapped. Water should
Yeah.
be flowing free. It should be able to go in whatever direction that it wants to go in. And it's put in these pipes. The pipes are dirty. It's not able to flow in its sentient way that it would have done before, mineralize our food in the way that it was before. So I always just connect and just say, I am grateful for, even though you're in confined spaces and you're not able to work at your highest frequency, I'm grateful that you're here in my life. And then I ask for the water that is cleansing me to, be at its highest properties that it possibly can be. And for also the water within me to do that, to access its highest magical properties within me so that every day that I'm walking, I'm able to walk at my highest light.
Thank you. And also what's been thrown around, like I really like kind of like believed it, um, very much so, was like how people talk about, oh, there's another channel which this is what gets me, is like when like tiny little channels that which speak a lot of truth, they don't get the viewings, but massive like a channel with massive viewings, it's almost like then I'm now starting to think, is that really telling the truth? Like Tartaria, have you heard that term?
Haven't gone down that rabbit hole. I don't know why. It's not something that I've seen it, but I've just never wanted to look there, and I can't tell you why. It just doesn't resonate.
No. What do you think was the previous civilization that was here then? Because when we look at the old buildings, they were quite magnificent and beautiful, weren't they? And they're not clearly being built now.
No, I do believe that there was ancient. I'm more looking at ancient cultures, so I feel that all over the globe there were pagan cultures everywhere. So whether from it being Northern European, African were pagan, Amerindians were pagan. You've got the Maori, there's all of the different cultures and the tribes were pagan, and they all had their gods, they venerated their gods. I feel that the buildings potentially came at a later stage. Um, but for me, those later buildings came more, I feel, and I could be so wrong with this, but with more, you know, like organized religions and things that are more within the dogmatic ideations that people are more focused on today. And in ancient African culture, they built structures in certain parts of Africa. But because the people of Africa didn't want to work with that, they were more about the woods, connecting with the wood, talking to every bit of wood that you built your huts with, building them on certain parts of the land. You built certain areas of that land on top of your ancestors so that you could connect with them. And if you left that part of the land, you took your ancestors with you. They never left them behind because how could they live without them? So when these colonizers came over and they built their stone structures, is what they would call them, when the Africans took over or recaptured those parts of the land, they tore those buildings down. They never wanted them there. They wanted it to go back to nature and back to the way that it was before. So I've just got to feeling, and some of the buildings that have been built now are absolutely beautiful. They're stunning, and I'm not going to take that away. But I feel that these come more when the earth, when they stopped trying to colonize places, but they civilized them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. I always find it so helpful because with my channel, it is like I listen to you and I think, oh my God, you're just so amazing. And I'm just the person that's going along, that's questioning everything. And it's almost like gathering all this information and then sitting with it and then seeing what feels right with me. But ultimately, with things like this, I won't ultimately know. And as much as I look at the buildings, what really resonates is when I start to connect with nature. And what I've been finding is when I'm in my creative mode, like I was saying to my friend, I was saying like I can never paint or draw when I'm unhappy. I can only paint when I'm feeling like content. And then when I paint, I lose myself in that moment. And that's something that's quite unique about us, isn't it? Our creative ability, isn't it? Because like we have this essence that is so powerful and magical that when we sit down to create anything, whether it's cooking or gardening, painting, drawing, writing, it is so phenomenal. What's your thoughts on that?
I love being creative. You know, when people say that they're bored, I'm like, how can you possibly be bored? There's books, there's art, there's garden, there's nature, there's animals, there's music. There's so much to do, but some people just haven't found their inspiration. And when you do, my goodness, you won't stop. I do loads of different things. Like I don't watch TV. I don't have the time to because there's too many other things and too many other books that I want to read. I do martial arts. I train at the gym, or I homeschool, I home educate. I work in my clinic. I'm learning about new remedies or different aspects in astrology. So, and I always go with where I'm inspired. I always go with that. So I could spend a year looking at one thing that I'm really inspired by, which will then lead me down 50 new rabbit holes, you might call them, but 50 different ways of doing things. But creativity for me is one of the highest forms of expression that we as humans can feel.
Mm, yeah, I totally agree. And what inspired you to write your book? Because I so want a copy of your book, but please, can you shed a little light on what inspired you, and when did you publish it, and how did it all come about?
I wanted to write a book about just health and different rabbit holes that I went down. You know, when I was on this, the new age traps, where things were going a bit wrong with it, or um, health was the bigger one. And then I wanted to intertwine knowledge that that I've been accumulating over the years. So that would be astrology, some quantum physics, myths and legends. Absolutely love myths and legends. And then there's the tarot as well. And I started writing and I wrote different chapters at a point, and I started in lockdown because something wanted me to be bored, but my spirit didn't want to be. So I started writing then, wrote loads of different chapters, didn't know where it was going. And then I worked at Glastonbury. And when I was there, something said to me, when you go home, take this remedy. And it was tuberculinum and homeopathy. And that's the remedy that shows you where you're wasting your true creative expression. And then everything came through, absolutely everything, all the different messages. And then there were certain parts that I couldn't get because there's scientific bits in that as well. Not loads, but just bits and bobs. but I couldn't merge them together. So a month after I'd taken the tuberculinum, I took a remedy called syphilinum, and that allows you to access the higher mind. And then I was able to put everything together, and then I had this story. So it's really about walking on your journey, on your way to finding out who you are. And none of our roads are the same. Everybody's road is different because we're all different and uniquely built. We could be born on the same day, exactly the same time, but in our lifetime, we would have very different experiences. And because I'd been down different traps and I'd been in the, especially within the awakened community, the spiritual community, there was loads of things that I experienced there that didn't work well, even though it taught me a lot. So this book was really written for the seeker. Yeah. And
You,
I go into parasites and stuff as well, and the things that hinder people on their journey.
oh, my menopausal brain goes like, I'm listening to you and I'm like light bulb moments and everything. And then you stop talking and I'm like, what was the question? So the remedy that you use, can you say that again, please?
Tuberculinum.
Is that a plant?
No, it's actually made from tuberculosis.
Isn't that like a something
It's a
that,
disease state.
yeah,
So
I
what
was
they
gonna
did
say.
was is that they got the frequency of that diseased state. And it's for people that have moved around, ancestors have moved around. They can have problems with their lungs. They're
Oh,
restless. They don't stay in relationships. They don't know, they know what they want to do, but they can't get it done. They want to travel around and do stuff. And I'm quite restless. I like to travel and do things. I'm like that kid that's in that dirt, and I want to know what's underneath that dirt. I don't have any interest in anybody's business, but I want to know what's going on in the world. So I just felt inspired to take it, and I took it in a high potency. I've never taken it again. I've only ever taken it once, but it showed me where I could be doing things better. And I actioned that. And then astrologically, I had Saturn conjunct Neptune outside of my fifth house, which is the house of creativity. And Mercury's in there anyway, which is all about writing. And when I was writing that book, something, normally I start things and I've got really grand ideas and I don't always finish them. That would not let me stop. And I know that it was the Saturn influence, the reflection of that enabled me to continue on with it. And then I finished.
wow. And am I correct in thinking that you can buy your book from, is it Lulu or Lola?
It's on Lulu, and the color copies are on my website.
Yeah, which I will put your website and Lulu connection with him because that I love that because I've bought a few books from Thomas and you like order them and then the money is like goes directly to you rather than the big Amazon company. Um, when did you study homeo? Oh God,
Only
yeah, homeopathy.
about 10 years ago. It's been about nearly 10 years. It's been a while. But I
Yeah.
found that in my 20s, and my whole life fell to pieces at that time. And I'm wondering now if that happened because it was meant to. Maybe I didn't have enough wisdom or awareness or whatever. Or did it happen because something was trying to keep me away from my real journey? I don't know. I sat and thought about that conundrum.
And you also do flower essences as well, is that correct? Do you make your own flower essences?
They're fun. Yeah, yeah. I do make my own. I make flower essences in the summer time, and you can use crystals. One, this just fell out of my bag. I don't even know why it's in there, but yeah, you can use crystals. They're so easy to make. It's literally just a glass jar or just a small bowl, and you
Hmm.
put some water, some purified water in the bowl. I connect with my flowers and talk to them, thank them for coming into my life, and just ask for the energy of the flower to infuse within the water. And you leave it outside for a couple of hours and let the sun hit that so that, you've got a nice little stock. And then I get a nice bottle, half alcohol, half stock. There's your flower essence, and it will last you for forever.
Wow. Wow. What's your thoughts on the moon? Because you were talking about the sun, and another lady I speak to who does flower essences, she connects with the sun more and uses that to harness the power. What's your thoughts on the moon? Because there's a mixed bag on that too, isn't there?
So much on that one. And I'm quite mixed with that as well. I can really work with some of the energies of the moon on certain levels. And then there's other parts of me that's not quite there with that. Because in lots of ancient cultures, they are literature, well, not literature, they're stories of a time before the moon. And some people believe that it's a satellite, that it shouldn't be there. So I think that with that, that's a rabbit hole that each individual of you that's watching this is one that you need to go down and discern whether or not that you feel that it's right. Because there's also pictures of that where they're saying that it's got an earth imprint on there and that there's extra land, so much going on. It's really quite an interesting, fascinating topic, but it's not one that I've dived down properly.
Do you think the rabbit holes are put out there because, like, a lot of the rabbit holes you can go onto YouTube and go listen to all these different people? Do you think it's to distract us from our, like, trusting our own intuition?
Yeah, because we've never been taught how to use it. When we
No.
went to school, we were taught, believe in this, learn this, regurgitate X, Y, and Z. But we've never really been taught how to love who we are. And I could never be measured on your skills because I'm not you. And you could never be measured on my skills because you're not me.
Mm.
So I feel that the new age is a trap for those that are waking up, for them to get sucked into different thought prisons so that it takes them away from where they're supposed to be going. But if you have gone down those rabbit holes and you feel that you've done things wrong or anything like that, then don't worry about it. Just come back. It will bring you back to where you were always meant to be, and then you have the wisdom behind it.
Because that's one of the things that Thomas said was like we have I don't like the word higher self. He called them our daemon. No, our dharma. We've all got our dharma why we're here. And it's listening to that gut feeling, that inner guidance that and I've noticed over the last few weeks, especially, like it's not things like people keep saying to me, what do you think? What do you think? But I can never think of the answer. And they say to me, listen to your heart, listen to your heart. I'm like, my heart's gone on vacation. It's not talking to me at the moment. But my body speaks, my
Mm,
body reacts. And then I know that's the truth when my body, this feeling that comes through a whole of my body. And I think, and it just like makes me step back and like, oh, my body's actually spoken. And that's quite powerful. So it's almost like taking away that mind, that intuition and just allowing our body. And if you think about it, like you said, it contains, is it 70% water? So our body is that memory of who we are and our ancestors and why we're truly here, isn't it?
yeah. And everybody's got different GPRS systems, so you may feel it within the body. Other people might be a bit more clairsentient or they work in different ways, but all of the expressions of how we feel our way is perfect. And
Yes.
different parts of us awaken at different times. So at one point, it could be the heart that awakens, the body might come after, then it could be the mind. And then eventually, if you put them all together, then you realize that you've got a whole energy system of different mechanisms that can work in different areas, of life and really guide you on along your journey. And then that the mechanisms that are here, so the mental, emotional, and the physical, then connect back to the spirit. And it's about really awakening and connecting back to the transcendental self. And all of us are potentially here to be able to do just that.
And one of the other things that I heard you speak about, which I absolutely loved, is like in the New Age movement, it says like we're all one. And then when we had this experience, we all merge back into this melange of oneness. And I'm like, I don't want to go back to this oneness. I want to be me and going off to the next adventure. And I remember you were saying the exact same thing. We're all different. We're not part of this one jellified thing, are we?
I wrote about that in my book as well. I just think that for me, it just feels like a bit of a trap. There's Robert Mugabe. Most people will like him, others won't. No, actually, the other way around. But anyway, he said that people think that when they die, they get rest. No, they don't. They still have to become ancestors. And how can I be an ancestor of my family if I'm merged with you? Do you see what I mean? It's not,
Yeah.
so I feel that there's a divine consciousness, that there's a spark within us that resides there. But I feel that there's an individual element to all of us, and that there's more to this than what we see. And that oneness really, if we stay on that trajectory, it really makes way for certain things in the world to be able to happen that's not in alignment with where our spirits are going. I just doesn't work for me. No.
No. And when we speak about our ancestors, because like when I started off and like you, I didn't do the tarot, I did the angel card readings, simply because of the deck of cards I got was fairy cards and I just connected with them and that was in 2008, maybe 2007. And I've always worked with them. They're my cards, like I used to do them at Ragdale. And people used to say to me, "Oh, you got a spirit guide who you talk to," and I had this in my imagination that this like person was going to like a Native American was going to suddenly appear. But try as I might, I never got a spirit guide. And then again, that's a bit of a dangerous loophole, isn't it, with spirit guides and mediumship, because our ancestors are quite busy doing their own thing, aren't they?
Yeah, it depends on where you look for that. For me, a lot of people always, when they come to me for readings, they're like, "What guides are here?" And I'm like, "Look, connect back to your own spirit first before you do anything like that. Really connect back. You've got your ancestors, so if you've got people that have passed over and deceased, they can be guides, along the way. Um, there's a lot of, I call them invisible side hustlers that want a bit of energy and they
Mm.
want you to do their bidding and to do all sorts of different things. So this is where discernment really is key. And going back to ancestral cultures, a lot of them believed that the people that had passed over that we had a connection with are the intermediaries between this realm and the next realm because they're over there. Yeah. So I'd be careful with what you're bringing in, especially when people bring in famous people and these kind of guides that they have no affinity with. And you can't tell them what to do, it's their journey. But really stick with what you know until you know better.
Yeah. And also another thing that I've listened to, come across is like some people say that this is a prison planet and we ought to escape and it's like the 5D and it's like, and then I think, well, can we not just be here and just enjoy this reality? Can we not just, what's your thoughts on that 5D prison Age of Aquarius?
Yeah, don't go there with that one. That's a whole rabbit hole. That's probably a lifetime of unfolding. I feel that there is some kind of trap here, some kind of consciousness trap. Because if you have a look, you've got the creatives and all the people that are doing the fun and wonderful things. They're baking, they're doing loads of fun things, and they're going one way. And that feels more liberating than those that are following the narrative. um, that's been put out there by governing systems that want us to do things within a specific. And for me, the ones that are walking that way, it is a bit of a consciousness trap because most of the ones that you speak to, they're not happy. They don't try to change things because this is just the way that it is. They're uninspired. There's not much going on there. But I feel that these people may just have low soul energy, or they haven't learned to tap in or access that. And they think that there's different levels of consciousness on the planet. Some people are born with more awareness than others, that comes there. But for me, I still feel that we have an opportunity to create something really great here. The tribes are doing that anyway. Does it mean that we're all going to get on? Absolutely not. Because when you think about it, back in ancestral times, the tribes never got on, all of them. They were at war with each other. So it's not about living in this wonderful utopian harmony. I don't believe, that it could ever be like that because there's always going to be somebody trying to get to the top of the food chain or somebody put there. So I feel that life is an experience and it's down to us what we choose to experience. We create our everyday. And whether you choose to be governed or whether you choose to govern yourself, it takes the same amount of energy. Pick your struggle.
Yeah. What like also the other thing that in the New Age thing it's like is like manifest and your manifestation boards and your um and as much as we try and that's the other thing, it's like when they say, oh, you've not managed to manifest what you want to bring into your life, there's something you're doing wrong. But I'm wondering whether like because of the way the whole system is, have I know we have that ability to like I've always like and that's the thing that I've always keep coming back to. It's like my past experience. So when I was 18 and I came back to England, I had a holiday and then all of a sudden I thought I really need to start to work now. And then a job came and I thought, I really need to get form of transport came. And I do believe in that, but that whole manifestation board where we put up this and that's what we're always told, isn't it? In The Secret, the book, The Secret, it's like manifest the big house, the big car, the perfect partner, the £5,000. And I've learned in the last few weeks, like, it's not about the money. I mean, money's bloody good, and it's really good when you've got bills to pay, but it's being content with what you've got. And it's like when everything's stripped away from you and you've just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, really explain, because I am at that situation where I'm thinking, no, I actually do need money to pay the bills. So I'm not saying we don't need money, we do need money, but do you know what I'm saying? It's not about the big house, the big car, and the big paycheck, is it, at the end of the day?
Me, it's all about small things. I like the small things, the happy smiles. I was out
Yeah.
yesterday and my son does Muay Thai in the morning. Muay Thai, sorry, Serge. And he had science class yesterday. So we went to Muay Thai and some of the kids that he would normally spar with weren't there. So then we ended up going off to another area and I said, let's go and get breakfast or something. And I met this guy there and he was with his two dogs and he was doing a walk from Manchester to London. And he came up to me.
Saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, he came up to me and he was like, look, I need a favor, but no one will help me. And I'm like, okay, what is it? And then he said, I need somebody's bank account just to put some money into because he had a Google phone, but somebody hacked it. And they also hacked his TikTok. Will you put £80 into my account for me? And I'm just stood there and I'm like, well, you don't really want to. This is a bit dodge. And my 12-year-old's looking at me like, I looked into his eyes and something about him just felt really sweet. And his dogs were really lovely as well. And I'm a bit of a sucker like that. So then in the end, his phone died as he called his girlfriend. And I said to him, look, I'm going to go away and do some bits, but if you're still here and it's meant to be, then I'll help you. So I must have walked down the road, but needed to turn right. And he was looking at me. And then I went back towards my car. And then he was like, will you help me? And I was like, go on, I'll do it. It's not a problem. So I spoke to his girlfriend on the phone. I looked at his TikTok as well, by the way, and he had got a lot of people that were following his work. And it wasn't for that I did that. It was because he told the truth. So
Mm.
he put the money into my account. And I said to him, what bank are we going to take this money out of? And he said, I'm going to trust you with that money. And he said, please just bring it back where, you get it out and then give your son some money. And I just went to the bank and I gave him the money and I just said to him that I want to say to you that not everybody is great in the sense that they will do kind things like this for you. So just be careful. And he just said to me that this is all I needed in this moment and you helped me. Thank you. So I think that manifestation for me really is you get what you need. And I don't need a
Yeah.
lot. I'm quite happy with food in my cupboards and in my fridge, a car that works, happy children, ability to be able to do the things that I want to do and to be able to travel. So I'm able to create those things that I need, but I don't go beyond that because I don't need that.
Mm.
And I've done the manifestation boards and I've tried all of that and it didn't quite work for me. But I don't
No,
know if you've ever looked at the human design, which is like a system of different types of human on the planet. I'm a projector within that, for those of you that know what that is. And we have to wait for the invite. And I've always tried to go out there and really go out and get what it is that I needed. And I've never got that. But I've learned that if I'm centered and I'm genuine and I believe that I'll get the things that I need, then they always come. I don't go without, and I'm happy with that.
I like that. I like that. I think that sums up my journey too. It's like, yeah, yeah, everything that I've needed to make my life comfortable and at ease and supported and safe and financially safe is always turned up just at the right time. And then you don't have to waste all that time thinking that you need something else. You can just enjoy what you have got, isn't it? Being content with what you already have and knowing that whatever you need is just going to arrive at the right time in the right way and show itself.
Yeah. I remember once when it's about 7 years ago, and I'd been working so hard, reading after reading back to back. And I went outside and I was smoking then. I don't smoke now. And I had a cigarette. And something inside of me said, if you could have something on this Maybank holiday, what would it be? And I just said, I'd love to be on a boat. And then one of my clients got in contact and she said to me, what are you doing the Maybank holiday weekend? And I said, nothing, why? She said, I've just dumped my boyfriend. She fancy coming to the Grand Prix and watching it on a yacht. I trotted, yeah. This is just it. So it's just, you can create.
Magic.
Yeah, it is alchemy in a way. But you said it, you thought it, you needed it. That was it. You just left it alone. And it
Yeah.
came because it's what you needed in that now, you know? So yeah. And everybody's got different ways of creating. Find yours.
Yeah. And I think if anyone's like with anyone that's listening, it's like it's stripping all that back, all that expectations that we like what the secret and what the manifestation people want to tell us is like the paycheck and everything like that. But in reality, what is it that we actually truly want and stepping back and then we do manifest that and bring that magic into our lives. And then you realize just how powerful I don't even like that word, how powerful we are, but there is a sense of magic about us, isn't there?
It's exciting. And when they're like, I feel like we're in a world within a world. And when you
Yeah,
start tapping into that other side of things, I just want more of it. It sounds crazy. And it's about being grounded here now. It's not about being over there all the time. But there's so much to learn and so many different access points. And we were talking earlier about the tribe and the fact that there's so many wonderful people within that are really good at what they know. And all of them are access points to different parts of yourself as well, you know, when you're ready for the information. So there's magic everywhere if you know where to look, especially in nature.
yeah. Which just reminds me, because my husband went for a job interview today, he did, and we drove up this farm and it's just outside Mountain Mowbray, and I thought, I didn't realize it was so beautiful around here. It's like rolling hills and it's just stunning. I'm like this old farmhouse. And it's like, it just blew me away. It did. Apart from my dream last night, which was really weird. And so I'm sat there in the car, just reading my book and putting the heater on because I was like freezing. And this beautiful dog just appeared from nowhere, looked at me as if it knew me from a previous lifetime, tail was wagging, and then jumped up the window and like sniffed at the window. And like, my heart said, get out and fuss it. But my practical head said, oh no, it's muddy out and cold out. So I didn't. And I just thought that was kind of like something special for a dog just to suddenly appear out of nowhere. I know it was on a farm, so it's a farm dog, but just to look at me and like and smile. But yeah, but back to my dream. It was this dream where which I won't go into great detail because I know we shouldn't share dreams because that's letting people into our psychic inner world. But it was like almost like saying this dream that it included ravens. It included like a land that's not seen. So for some unknown reason, it was Poole. Never been there in all my life, but this other place. But it was saying about is life isn't about how quickly you get there. It's as long as you get where you need to get to. That's what life is all about. Would you agree with that?
But I remember my homeopath saying to me, like I've always have loads of prophetic dreams as well. And I see a lot of different things. And I used to really want to like go gung ho on the spiritual journey, you know, get down there,
Yeah.
you know, and thing, you know, levitating on the Himalayan mountains, you know, all of
Yes.
that. And then now I realize it's the day-to-day things, it's the small acts of kindness, the it's the looking back in 6 months. I journal a lot and I
Oh, I
look
do.
back, yeah, and I just think to myself, how incredible is life, is the journey, because there's so much that we thought that we couldn't have or we couldn't be. And we're all of those things just at the right time.
And don't you find journaling like, I think of a journal as my best friend, there's nothing more magical than getting my journal out. And I have this washi tape and I have like these little fairy stickers and little um flower stickers. And then I write in the journal and I'm like offloading all my thoughts and feelings, all my heartache and all my like frustrations and all my anger and all things like that. And then when I put questions, like I ask a question in my journal, and then when I look back over like 6 months, like go back 6 months, and I like the answers come.
It's
It blows me
scary.
away.
Yeah, they come. It's quite scary. I've
Yeah.
done that. and I've put it out there when I really needed to connect with my African ancestral roots, because it's not something that's well known in Barbados or St. Vincent. This is where my two parents were from, or where they were. Oh, the wisdom comes to you. It comes, but you have to be, knowledge isn't free. You have to pay attention. So you have to have that level of awareness ready. And every day is a sign, everything is a sign. And it's about, when you're on that journey, stop getting sucked back into the program. Because once you do, you fully access that other world, and you can be in both at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, no, you elegantly put it, because like when I think back on the last year, and I think it's like it is from interviewing Ola, and then from Ola it went to Thomas, and then it went to, Tina and Fiona and Bjorn, and also Celine and other people. It's like and then like having a reading with Fiona as well, and then getting the runes from Tina, like something that's very, very magical and very powerful has really happened in the past year. And it's so weird, because it's like I was a ragdoll therapist for like 20 odd years I was, and then because of the 2020 I stepped away, and well, I couldn't return because they had to make us wear something, and that caused me to have
Mhm.
panic attacks. So, and then I went off into the wilderness. My nephew's fiance said, "You went walkabouts, aren't you, Jenny?" And I thought, no, I've gone in the forest now. And I was lost for 4 years, because when you start to unravel the new age, then you think, who am I? And then I was lost, and I'm like, I don't know who I am or what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know at this stage in my life, I'm still in that forest. I'm not ready to come out of it just yet, but I know that, because I still need to be in that forest. But I know where I'm going now, which is mind blowing for me, because to lose everything, your sense of identity, who you are, the foundation, and have it all, especially in the last few weeks, it's been wiped from me, from my feet. But I know where I'm going, but I'm not ready yet to step out that forest, because I just need the isolation of the forest just to hold me for that wee bit longer until I'm ready. Does that resonate? Does that make sense?
Goodness, there's been so many times that I've been blown open, new wisdom. You think you know something and you get really excited, you jump down that rabbit hole and you're there for a bit, and then you're like, oh, actually, and then you unlearn, relearn, to learn, and you keep going backwards and forwards.
Yes.
Um, and it's all part of the process as well. It's the unfolding, and it's going through the different ancestral layers as well. Because if we're trying to connect back to, I would say our original spark, and what we're here to do, there's going to be points where you really lose yourself in this, but know when to bring yourself back. Know when to have moments where you're in, the matrix, or you're just doing normal stuff with normal people. Try to have a balance between the spiritual and the material side of things as well, because we have a body, and we're here to have, almost, some people say we're spirits having a human experience. Um, I would just say that with it is, listen to yourself, listen to your bodies, listen to what your spirit's saying, listen to your dreams. There's a lot to learn. There's so much unfolding, but stillness is important too. It really is. And we're in winter right now. We're here. It's a time of reflection, of letting things go, sometimes you may have the lower moods. That's what a lot of the dark days are about. It's a bit grey. It's a reflection point. It's looking backwards. What worked for you last year? What didn't work? Where would you like to take things this year? And then
Yeah.
plant your new seeds in the spring for them to harvest in the summer, for them to, grow in the summer, and then you harvest in the autumn, and you start the process again.
Yeah, that's what I love about winter. Like that's what I'm teaching at Ragdale. It's all about rest. It's all about replenish, restoring. It's about doing nothing apart from, you know, drinking hot chocolate and sleeping and just being kind to yourself. Because winter, I think it's the most powerful time of the year, because so much is happening underneath, isn't it, that we're unaware of. But that reflection, when we look back on the past year and what resonated, what didn't resonate, and then it's like spring will come, and it's new beginning, and but this is the most powerful the time of the year. Yeah, and I just suddenly remember what I was going to say about Ragdoll. Like I asked Ragdoll, like I left and then and then I went back a bit, and then what I found was like I suddenly thought, oh, I am a Ragdoll therapist. And I asked, can I come back? And they went, yeah, but on these terms, and those terms didn't resonate. They would not have worked for my family, for me. And then that moment of letting go, that moment of like, oh wow, that's it. Forget it, let it go. And that let go actually opened the door for me to return back. That's quite powerful too. That's not a new agey thing, is it? That is quite,
No, I used to find it really hard to let go. And now when things fall away, all you hear is next. What's the new adventure? What's coming up next? And sometimes letting go is really hard, especially when you've got bills to pay, families to feed, and there's um things that you have to honor, that you're bound to pay and whatever. But I started off as an accountant, a financial consultant, and it was it's almost 20 years ago now. I've not had a job working in any kind of corporate for 20 years almost. We're coming up towards that point in a couple of years. And when you are able to walk your own way, and when doors shut and you've got something creative or there's something that you can really do, and you've got the means to be able to do it, walk that path because it just works. It comes about, it happens, and try and get out of your own way. That's the advice that I would give. But I've had loads of endings. I've moved house so many times. I've lived in lots of different places, and it's taught me never to get complacent. Be happy in what you have in that now, because times change and so do people. Seasons change, and we're part of that as well. If there's one thing that we're promised in life, well, there's two things, but we won't go into the other one, but one of them is change.
yeah, yeah, it is. Never ever stays the same forever, does it?
No,
And
no,
that's one guarantee in life, isn't it? Thank you so much for your time and energy. Oh, my dog's just stretched. If you could see Maya, she's underneath the table. She's such a little sweetheart. I can't thank you enough for your time. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. It's been an absolute pleasure and joy. Do you have a Substack by any chance yet?
Elona Woods, Substack.
Oh,
So I've got Substack up and running.
right. I'm going to put all your details in the description because um you have so much to offer, so much to offer. And I know when we spoke because we've sent messages to each other, like you were saying about your readings and my readings, it's all about what do you need to know in the here and now to help you on your journey. And that's how you do your readings, but you use the tarot with your readings. And I know from listening to and seeing your posts on Facebook, you've had huge success with the homeopathic remedies as well. They are phenomenal. So there's so much that you can offer. So if I put all the details in the description below, people can reach out to you. What's some coming plans that you've got for the next few months before we end this conversation?
Um, I'm doing quite a lot at the moment. I really am. I'm doing a lot of medical astrology in conjunction with homeopathy right now, and that's working really well. It's really good fun, and I'm doing a lot of learning on different areas of life. I'm also in clinics nearly every day. Then I'm homeschooling as well, and I want to go to some ancient sites and just keep training and doing stuff really, and just enjoying my life and being in nature. So really, every day for me, I have booked clients in, but every day's random, and that's what I want to be for the next few months, random.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow, thank you so much. Whereabouts are you based again? What
I'm
part of
based
England?
in Buckinghamshire.
Ah, Buckinghamshire.
So
So so that's not that far away, but a couple of hours away, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. So everyone who's listening, thank you so much for joining us for our chat tonight. Um, honestly, I can't thank you enough for your time and energy. Is anything else you want to add before we say goodbye? Do you want to say goodbye on your behalf?
Thank you so much for inviting me on the show and for your energy and for the work that you're doing. Having podcasts isn't easy, it takes time, and the work that you're doing is absolutely wonderful. So thank you for bringing this wisdom out for all of us, because I've benefited from your other podcasts. So really, really great watch. And thank you for having me on the show. Lovely.
Oh, thank you. And I am going to do my, because I'm still learning how to edit, but I'm going to do my thank you for listening and then just, yeah, so thank you from Mountain Mowbray. Until the next podcast, let me know your thoughts and feelings. And I do apologise for the lighting in here and my art room. And if you can only see Mo, who looks really cute, good night from me in Mountain Mowbray and lots of love.